What's up, witches and wizards? If you are new to my channel, welcome to the wizarding world. If you've been here before, you know what's up. So I asked a question on Instagram and I wanted to hear from all of you guys, what is most supportive to you? What kind of magic do you want to learn? And a lot of people asked me to tell my own personal story. How did you get here? How did you go from being miserable and depressed and totally isolated and a cynical New Yorker to wearing a witch hat and living in Topanga Canyon and loving your life? Living the dream. So I wanted to share that with you. I grew up in Northern California. I'm from the Redwoods, so I'm from a very magical place. And it turned out that I was actually too big for such a small town. And I got bullied, I got beat up, I got tortured and tormented, and people were really mean to me. I also was very chubby when I was young, and so people called me Jigglypuff and Jelly Roll and Water Buffalo. You know, I made the mistake of cutting my hair really short and just had this massive afro. It was really bad. And so I was really miserable. I was a really sad, very depressed person. And I couldn't get out of bed every day my senior year of high school. And I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was so shut off from what I had truly believed was the important things in life that it was like I had nothing to live for. And how that happened is that when people started bullying me and tormenting me and mistreating me for being myself, for being wild and magical and fantastical and believing that anything was possible, I started thinking, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm actually wrong. Maybe I'm the weird one. But guess what? One of my favorite things that I've learned in the recent years is that weird, the original definition of weird, meant fate or destiny. So someone who was weird meant that they were moving in the direction of their fate or destiny, not just going along with the crowd, not being a sheep, you know? It's actually where the word word comes from as well. W-Y-R-D was originally weird and word. It meant destiny. So we are speaking and creating our destiny every moment with our words. And when we're being weird, we are actually moving towards our destiny, because if we're willing to not do the things that the whole rest of the world tells us we're supposed to do, and we follow our hearts and our intuition, then we are going to become exactly who we're meant to be. So that was my experience. I stopped listening to my weirdness and I started pretending to be like everybody else. And that is what made me miserable. I was so depressed. I was so lonely. I was so sad, literally all the time. And then things got worse. And I was in an accident when I was 16. I almost lost my arm. You can see my scar. A lot of you guys don't know about this, but I don't have full function in my hand. This is my full extension of my hand. I've had 15 surgeries on this arm. I have a 10-inch titanium plate in here. They took my whole lat muscle out of my back, and I have a big skin graft on my leg. And I was in the hospital for a very long time. And then I would go back in the hospital for long periods of time throughout all of my late teens and early 20s. And so I had a really powerful sort of excuse within myself, energetically and internally, to not try. It was like, oh, well, now I'm going to be a failure, and now I'm never going to amount to anything, and no one's ever going to care what I have to say. No one will ever pay attention to me. No one will bother about what I think. My opinion won't matter. I'm worthless. I'm now destined to be a failure. And so instead of doing anything about it, I just pretty much stopped trying. I got great grades in college and kind of just went about my life, but it was like there was a veil in front of my eyes. It was like I was asleep. And I sleptwalked through my life until I had my first several moments of awakening. And it's so interesting that I wear this witch hat because, you know, I'm sure a lot of you guys grew up in Christian backgrounds, and it's so funny to me how much witchcraft is in Christianity, like the incense, the holy water, the baptism, all ancient pagan practices. And I actually dated this guy who was super Christian. And at one moment I remember him saying oh, we're Christian. And I looked at him and I was like, we? What do you mean we? I'm not Christian. I don't even know I didn't know what my relationship was to the divine, to God, to the world around me. I was just shut off. But he had this powerful relationship to God. He hadn't had great parents. And so God was like his father. And he would sit on the phone, it's what it felt like to me, with God. He would shut the door and go and have these conversations with God. And I thought that was so mind-blowing. I was like, who is he talking to? This is so weird. And it actually inspired me to start talking to myself. So one day I'm walking down the street in New York City, And I just looked up and I was like, God? And I remember so viscerally experiencing the moment where I could feel the universe responding to me. And it was just in the way that the light shined through the leaves and the way that the wind was rustling in the trees. And it was like, yes, I'm here. I'm all around you. I am everything. And I was like, whoa. And that moment changed my life. And that is why every single thing that I do, and those of you who are in witch school, you know about this. I believe that everything is information. Everything is divination. We live in a meaningful universe, and we are the ones who give it meaning. So that means that every number, every animal, every conversation, every person, every pain in your body has information for you, has guidance or wisdom, has something to offer you in any given moment. If anything on the right side of your body is hurting, that's your masculine side. If anything on the left side of your body is hurting, that's your feminine side. Your legs, your feet, your hips moving forward. That's what take us into our next chapters, our next steps. And so that moment changed my life. And since then, I have been pursuing magic and allowing it to pursue me. So I think it's important to acknowledge for all of you guys who are on an awakening journey and on a spiritual journey. A lot of people say, like, what was the moment? What was the thing? In my personal experience, there wasn't one moment. There were hundreds or thousands or millions of moments where I would listen to what the yoga teacher would say at the end of the class, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. Or I would come upon someone on Instagram that all of a sudden was like living exactly the life that I wanted to live, and I was like, wow, it's possible. Or I would be thinking about something and then see 1111 and be like, oh. Or I would try a spiritual medicine, or I would do a weird healing ceremony with someone. Want to try crystal healing? I was like, okay. Want to do a sound bath? Sure. Want to try breath work? Why not? I just said yes to everything. Whatever felt right in my soul or brought up a little bit of fear, but wasn't like, this is a hard no, I said yes to. And if it did bring up a little bit of fear and I was like, I don't know, that sounds scary, I probably shouldn't do that, I was like, fuck it, that's my ego, I'm doing it anyway. And saying yes to those things consistently and being willing to relate to my reality as if it is also relating to me, those things fundamentally transformed my reality on a consistent day-to-day basis. Those are the things that helped me start to make magic. And I have tried all the spiritual medicines. If you haven't seen Fantastic Fungi, you should absolutely 100% go and watch that. That movie blew my mind. And so then I started to relate to the world around me with a greater understanding of how I can utilize and harness and connect to these energies in order to manifest, in order to make magic. So the earth is our body. The earth is our body. The water is our blood. The air is our breath, our thoughts, our intellect. And the fire is our power. It's what makes our heart beat. It's what gives us our drive and motivation and ambition. And then we have that fifth element, the spirit. We all have it. We know it exists because we're all so uniquely individual. And so I wanted to just briefly give you guys this insight into my personal experience, because it wasn't like I woke up one day and all of a sudden I just manifested my dream life and everything was here and I had all the things that I wanted. It was hard. It wasn't easy, but it was so worth it. And so that is the one thing that I want to leave you with, is letting you know that there is nothing more challenging than living a spiritual life. There's nothing more challenging than saying like, oh yeah, I'm responsible for all the horrible things that have happened to me. This challenging thing, this awful thing that happened to me, I did that. I created that. I needed to learn the lessons that this was going to teach me. So I gave myself, my spirit, my higher self gave me this opportunity. And when you can do that, when you can take responsibility for the challenging things, the same as the wonderful things and the blessings, then your entire reality will transform. And that is what allows us to live in a magical world. So gradually, after a few years, I became a life coach. And then I built my business by supporting other people. And now I'm making multi six figures. And I believe that this is possible for everyone. It doesn't have to be coaching, but you can build a life and build a business that is so profoundly fulfilling to you simply by believing that it's possible, by believing in magic, by understanding how the elements relate to your body, to your life. And we actually have a Magic for Business course coming up, which I am so excited to share with you. That is going to be all about how to use the spiritual tools and the practical tools to build your magical business. A couple of super simple practices that you can start implementing in your life right now to help you move forward and understand yourself better so that you can heal all the old patterns and shit that make you think that you're supposed to be a muggle and step into your most magical self. One is eye gazing. Look at yourself, look into your left eye in the mirror. Say, I love you. See what comes up. Does that feel true? Do you say bad things back instead? Keep going. Try 5 minutes, then try 10 minutes. Oh my goddess, your mind will be blown. Breath work, same thing. Breathe into a place in your body where you maybe feel pain or stuckness or tight energy. Breathe in, feel, what does that place need? What does it want? Maybe it's your heart, maybe it's your womb, maybe it's your pussy, maybe it's your back, maybe it's your legs, maybe it's your feet, maybe it's your hands. There's so many different ways that we can use our breath to understand ourselves and heal any wounds that we might have that have kept us from being our most powerful, most magical selves. It's been a really long journey, but it's not about the destination. It's about this adventure we call life. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, just a little tidbit about me, and I'm wishing you all so much love and so many blessings and so much magic, because magic is all around you and it's inside of you, just waiting for you to call upon it. I'm Mia Magic. Welcome to the Wizarding World.